Hey lambs, welcome to your midweek mini. I am your host Kai, and in today's mini, we're discussing a case where a wife stabbed her husband with a squirrel. I know you're scratching your head and wondering how this can happen, but let's get into it. This midweek mini is really mini, and I just want to remind you that this episode and all my episodes are sponsored by my lambs and Patreon, patreon.com/Love and Murder. If you want to be a sponsor of Love and Murder and help the podcast out, then go ahead and join our Patreon and you get bonuses and so much more. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Now let's get into this wife stabbing her husband with a squirrel. On December 25th, 2013, 44-year-old Helen Ann Williams of Clifton Street in North Charleston, South Carolina, sent her 41-year-old husband out to buy some beer. Now, this was at night, and at night on December 25th. So, as you can imagine, he returned home empty-handed because the stores were closed. And for those of you who don't know, on December 25th in the U.S., stores are closed at night. It's just like, I think you could find maybe corner stores that are open, maybe, but typically every single store is closed. So he came back without what she asked for. And to Helen, this was the last straw, the absolute last straw. I mean, how dare you go out on a night where everyone in the U.S. knows that basically every store is closed and come back without what I asked you for? How inconsiderate of you, and I'm sick and tired of it. And then he had the audacity to go and make himself a sandwich and not even sit there and feel bad enough about not coming home with her beer. So she did what any rational person in the land of crazy would do. She picked up her ceramic squirrel and smacked him over the head with it. And then she took that same squirrel and stabbed him in the chest with it. Y'all thought I was talking about a real squirrel, didn't you? So then her husband ran to a neighbor's house and called 911. And when police arrived, now this is shortly after midnight when the police arrived, they found him covered in blood. So they asked him what happened. He told them, and he's like, look, she stabbed me in the chest with this squirrel. And they were like, they had the same face you had when I did the initial introduction. They were like, she did what now? So then he took off his shirt. And they found this huge gash. It's like, quote, large, deep gash from his left shoulder to his chest, as well as cuts on his face. And he showed them the squirrel, and they said, oh, the same thing that y'all said when I said ceramic squirrel. So then they went to talk to Helen and asked her account of what happened. And he said, oh, no. He has all those cuts and this huge gash in his chest because he fell and he cut himself. And they were like, so what's with all the blood on your hands and your shirt? And she was like, I didn't think up a story for that one. Give me a second while I think. Think, Helen, think. You know what? I just wanted my beer. I got nothing. Look, I just wanted my beer. He didn't get me a beer. Then he decided to go make himself a sandwich. And I was just like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of asking you for stuff. And you decide the stores are closed and you come home without my stuff. And I just couldn't anymore. I just couldn't anymore. So I hit him. And then I stabbed him with the squirrel. Because I knew it was going to make an excellent headline for some newspaper somewhere, or some weird podcaster who's doing a true crime podcast. I knew it was going to make a great headline. So this is why I did that. So she was arrested, as you can imagine, and she went to the Charleston County Jail with a $10,000 cash bond. She was supposed to go to her hearing in April based on a felony charge of domestic violence, and they labeled it a high and aggravated nature. However, I couldn't find any updates. I don't see that she's in jail. I don't see what happened. So I don't know what happened past that. However, what I do know is that her husband was treated at the hospital for non-life-threatening wounds, so he's okay. And actually, this was her common-law husband, so maybe he left. Hopefully, he left. If somebody stabs you in the chest with a squirrel, I think that's maybe you think that's a red flag? I don't know. I'm asking for a friend. Do you think that's a red flag? But maybe it's a red flag. I could be wrong. So maybe he's gone. Maybe he stayed. I don't know. But the most important part is that the condition of the squirrel was not reported, so we don't know if that poor squirrel is okay. That is all I have for you for this Wednesday midweek mini. How has your week been so far? I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.